So my 8-way story. It's on a previous guest's semi sitting across 3 or 4 parking spaces. Not only was it sitting there, but it was for days after they left. The open production is not hard. We do have multiple spaces and you can only use one space at a time, typically. Obviously, a semi is different, especially when you're flat out across it. But, and all our guests and us can only use one at a time. But when we have, it is a necessary thing when you have all the rooms we have and, the employees need to park, and then the fact that, a guest could, especially if it's a room for 3 or 4 people, they could have multiple cars in their yards. It's just something we cannot do, and you can't take up multiple spaces. Whether you're semi, a car, no matter what it is, you cannot do that. Obvious. Transportation, I would say that one's hard. I'm not sure, except for, the fact of us shuffling through the vehicles because we're trying to have space, but also have space for our guests to be by their rooms, and then the guests having to shuffle around because over in this corner, for the ones that have been here, it is kind of tight for all those rooms. So you can't always have a bunch of vehicles, especially if all those rooms are sold out and we have guests in them. Inventory are parking spaces, is what I say, are in inventory because they're not being able to be utilized by the guest. Then the defects, it causes multiple spaces to be taken up already in a smart parking spot, because with that gas station we don't have very much room as it is, and when we have a bunch of guests, or if there's a bunch of guests up here, which with employees, or if we have anybody, plumbers, anybody here trying to do stuff, it makes it really hard. It makes a small parking lot even smaller. And we have guests that sometimes, there is multiple people in there, so they do have multiple vehicles. So it makes it really hard, makes chances for damages to happen, not only to ours or guests doing it to other guests doing it to us, any possible way. The other thing is all those steps of shuffling those cars, having to, multiple times tell the guest, hey, you can't park there, it needs to be moved, oh, they're gone, they're not here anymore, trying to figure out, hey, they're gone, hey, we don't have them no more, but we still have the semi in our spot, in our parking spots, like, we need it moved. So all those steps of trying to figure it out, calling the guests, figuring out what they were doing with it, telling us how, somebody's supposed to come get it, waiting for these people to come get it. We don't have no way to really contact them. Just the whole 9 yards of waiting. Motion, us constantly having to, grab the phone, walking over to see if it's still here, because we were told, hey, it's going to be happening here soon, or having to, call and grab the phone, call them, talk to them. All that is all the motion ways we wouldn't have had to do. Waiting, the time spent for those 3 or 4 days, and even while they were still here, them taking up the spaces, waiting for that semi to be removed from our parking lot. We could have had our spaces again. Okay, so totally forgot where I was, but the waiting, all that time, the semis have been in and there, we're waiting for it to get removed so we can utilize those parking spaces. Waste employee genius, of course, the phone call is being made, trying to figure out what's happening with that semi, when it's getting picked up, what is it going to be doing, especially when this guest, like I said, was told he could not park there, but also it took even longer because the guest was also told about holding the key and stuff like that. So that took process more because we also didn't know that he was gone in the hospital. So he was never really here after that point a few days later of going to the hospital. Then that is my 8-way story.